Welcome to another restoration video. Today, I'm going to be restoring my original Nintendo Entertainment System. I believe we got this in the year 1990, and I found it in the attic, and it's in pretty bad shape. The last time I tried using it was maybe 15 years ago or so, and I don't remember it working too well. So hopefully I can diagnose that problem and get it to work. And of course, clean it up. It's pretty dirty on the inside. Got some dust on this motherboard. A lot of screws are missing. There's no shield on top. This controller is in really bad shape as well. The backside's all scratched up and dirty. Here's a comparison. This is the controller that was re-released by Nintendo for the Nintendo Switch. You can see a clear difference in color. So we're going to go ahead and test this Nintendo to see if it works. We're going to clean out our original Legend of Zelda copy and clean the pins that make contact with the game with some isopropyl alcohol. Let's power it up and see what happens. And nothing. I tried for quite a while to get it to work. Resetting it. Finally get the game to boot up, but there are some glitched lines on the side here. We're gonna keep trying. And after multiple attempts and lots of isopropyl alcohol, we finally get the NES to boot with The Legend of Zelda. I'm just gonna make a new save file here. The battery inside is all dried up, so it does not save anymore. As you can see, the game is running mostly fine. There are some glitchy lines running across the screen. So let's go ahead and disassemble everything. We're going to start with the controller. We will remove the 6 screws from the back. And we will remove the cable being pinched into the shell and the motherboard. We're going to remove the buttons and the membranes. Take a look at these screws. They're all rusted and dirty. And the shell is pretty dirty too. Sorry about that awful noise. That's the Q-tip rubbing against the plastic here with alcohol. Getting all that gunk out of the middle there. It's pretty dirty. We're using 70% alcohol to get that out of there. Now we're going to remove the cartridge slot. And remove whatever screws are remaining here. I believe my dad took this apart back in the 90s to diagnose a problem with it. And I don't believe he restored all the screws. We're going to remove the controller port holder. And we're going to remove these cables from the motherboard. This one's a little stubborn. Okay, now we've got the motherboard out. We can remove the power and reset switch by removing these 2 screws here. Out it goes. Now we're going to clean up the shell with some soap, some basic dish soap, and a toothbrush. This thing was really dirty. Let's get the inside. There are some scuff marks here that won't come out. So we're going to use some isopropyl alcohol and a piece of cotton. This is 99% alcohol, which I kind of regret using, and I'll show you why in a minute. Now we have a Mr. Clean Magic Eraser that we're going to use to get rid of all those scuff marks. It's very lightly abrasive, so it's able to scratch the surface and remove the scuff mark pretty easily. And this is why I regret using the 99% alcohol. I believe it ruined some of the Nintendo logo when I poured it on there. I'm not sure how to fix that. So we're gonna let the top part of the shell dry and get to cleaning the bottom part of the shell. We're gonna throw those screws inside of my ultrasonic cleaner with 50% distilled vinegar and 50% water, and let those run for about 10 minutes. Now we're gonna wash the controller shell. Getting all the buttons, scrubbing in between the controller. Getting all the membranes. This one was pretty dirty on the inside. I'm trying to scratch it off with my nail, the dirt that was on there, or whatever it is. And you can hear the ultrasonic cleaner in the background. It's doing its job with the screws. Now I'm gonna lightly sand the back of this controller in order to get those scuffs out. There's just so many scratch marks, and it's this color. I don't think the Retrobrite is gonna do anything for that. I started with the Mr. Clean Magic Eraser just to get the scuff marks out. We're going to sand the back of the shell with some 800 grit sandpaper. We're wet sanding it so that we don't get too many marks left behind from the sandpaper. It makes it look a lot smoother. Yeah, it's really scratched up. Now we'll place the shell, just the top part and the controller front and back, inside of this plastic container with some 50 volume cream developer. This is basically super concentrated hydrogen peroxide, and we're going to rub it all on there. I don't have any gloves, so I'm just using a plastic bag over my hand. You don't want to get this stuff on your fingers, it actually burns. Now we turn on the UV light and let it sit for about a day. I did go back in there and rotate it a few times throughout the day to make sure that I got even coverage on the shell. Next, we're going to clean up the inside of the controller. We're going to wipe down this wire with the Clorox wipe. As you can see, there was a lot of dirt on there. Now, in order to repair this frayed wire, we're gonna have to run this tube over the wire, but in order to access, we need to remove the wire from the motherboard, as the controller port plug is too large for that tube to slide over. So I'm just gonna desolder each wire one by one using solder wick and some flux. And the solder wick just sucks up all the solder when the flux is on there. Now that that's clean, we can remove the wires. And I'm going to clean the flux off of the motherboard so that it's not sticky. We're going to cut our tubing in about half. And we can slide that right over the frayed wire. I'll use a soldering iron to heat it up and make it shrink. It looks pretty good. Now we can put the wires back in place. They kind of snap into the motherboard, and then you have to solder them on the other side. Looks good. Now we'll clean it off with some alcohol so that there's no sticky residue left behind. We've removed the shell from the cream developer and it looks fantastic. You'll get a better look at it once it's outside of the sink. But this stuff is very thick. We have to rinse it off and use a towel to get everything off from every crevice. And that's looking pretty good compared to before. Not perfect, but way better. Now, if you take a quick look, you might not be able to tell which one is the old controller and which one is the new one. When you look closely, you can still see some scuff marks here and there and scratches, but it looks a lot better than it did before, and the color is back to how it used to look. Now we'll clean off the motherboard for the Nintendo with some isopropyl alcohol. This bent pin is pretty bad. I was trying to clean it up and I just keep getting distracted by how badly bent it is. And I'm wondering if it's even going to be usable. Just some more detailing on the motherboard. We're cleaning out the controller ports, cleaning up the wires as well. Cleaning up the power and reset switches. And these are the screws after the ultrasonic cleaner. They look brand new. I'm so surprised. Some of those screws were completely yellow, and now they look shiny and brand new. So now we're going to reassemble the Nintendo, placing the controller ports. Screw in the front plate from the bottom. We've got the motherboard in place. I'm not sure where the screws go because there were far too little remaining. I'm just gonna try and get them in places that make sense and that will keep it in place. And now the lid can go on. We are also missing the screws for the bottom of the Nintendo that hold the lid together. But I have a feeling I'm gonna be removing the lid quite a bit, so that's okay for now. And here is the big reveal. It looks amazing. Just a reminder of how it looked before. We've also got these dingy old AV cables that I was using with this HDMI converter. We'll get rid of those and use these brand new ones that we picked up from Video Games New York, a retro game store in Manhattan. I also picked up a copy of Blaster Master for 10 bucks. Came with the instruction manual as well. So let's go ahead and test this post-restore. Nothing. It's that pin. Gotta do something about it. I believe it's too broken to bend back in place. So instead, we'll just replace it. You can get one of these for just a few bucks on Amazon, surprisingly. It looks oddly misshapen, but it's brand new, so it's gotta work. Now I'm gonna clean off the slot for the cartridge reader with some alcohol, and that was dirty as well. Maybe that could have helped with the broken pin before. No matter, we've got the new one now. We're gonna secure it into place. Reassemble the shell. Wow, that goes in there pretty tightly. Let's test and see if it works. Oops, forgot to plug in the power. Let's try again. First try. Wow. Are you telling me that all those years of blowing in the cartridge could have been prevented by just replacing the cartridge reader? Do you see how I'm smacking the cartridge like that? We couldn't even so much as breathe near the console without the console crashing back in the day. Here's Blaster Master. And again, first try. Now, as I mentioned, the cartridge reader is very stiff, and it's difficult to remove the cartridge. Very difficult. Now we'll try Double Dragon 2. This one I haven't played in a while, so it may need some cleaning. Not so bad, but there it goes. Working just fine. No weird lines on this screen. No multiple attempts after cleaning this cartridge. And Hurricane Kick first try, let's go. I also picked up this 8-bit DO receiver for the Nintendo that will allow me to use any Bluetooth controller, including the Nintendo Switch Nintendo controller, which feels fantastic. There's no noticeable latency, and the shell feels as authentic as possible. Well, that's it for the restoration. Thank you for watching, and if you're interested in watching me test these consoles in real time after I've completed the restoration, go ahead and check out my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/rushfox. I will leave a link in the description. Thanks again for watching. Take care.